Hey, what's new, everybody? This is Thunderhands here. Well, I'll tell you what's new. Today, I talked about some of the martial arts I know. So today, I thought I would give you a lesson, and I don't really know how to name this video. I mean, it could be, basic survival techniques, martial arts part one, or it could be, it really could be advanced techniques. I mean, some of the stuff I'm going to show you here or tell you about could save your life. Could save your life. So listen up if you want to save your life. So I want to make a disclaimer right now at the beginning of this show. And again, I don't know what I'm going to name it, but I want to make a disclaimer that anyone 18 years old or younger must seek permission from a parent's a rule. You know what? If you're responsible and you consider yourself responsible, I trust you. And I pretty much know my audience here, so anybody knows that anything you do, regardless of where you get it, is on your own head, basically. If you learn something that is, I don't care what it is, it's your responsibility after that. Now I'm going to start off with some basic stuff with Kung Fu San Soo, which I explained before was an ancient Chinese fighting art from the Kuan Yin Monastery. So we'll start off, and I said it was based on jiu-jitsu and a lot of different things. And jiu-jitsu is using somebody else's limbs or your limbs as weapons or weapons against themselves, depending on whose limbs you're using. Okay? So the first thing I want to talk about as far as your arms, let's talk about those. Let's talk about from the elbow to the wrist. Okay, from your elbow to your wrist on the radial side, not on the inside, but on the radial side where that hard bone is. Guess what, folks? There's no nerves in there. So you can use that part of your arm, if you're in any kind of condition at all, as a lead pipe. It's almost like a lead pipe. Okay? You can come down on somebody's, some appendage on their body with that lead pipe, and it hurts. I mean, it could kill even. So just know that, that's just one little weapon. And then you have the claw, where you shape your hands like a claw and scratch it across somebody's face, left to right, right to left, that type of thing. I mean, there's all kinds of weapons on your body that you don't realize, okay? You can even shift your weight into somebody. That's a weapon. Everything is a weapon. Okay, so your knee is a weapon, your elbow is a weapon, a one-knuckled punch is a weapon, a regular punch is a weapon, a snap kick to the groin or a snap kick to the inside of somebody's knee is a weapon. Get my drift here? Everything's a weapon. I mean, you can even walk up and stomp on the top of somebody's foot. Guess what? That's going to hurt. Now, San Soo works off of autonomic reactions. In other words, you set the person up for the next strike. And this is done by, like, for example, if you hit somebody in the solar plexus, they're going to bend forward, right, a little. Or if you stomp on somebody's foot, they're going to reach down like, oh. And when they're reaching down, well, you come up, either with an elbow or, in other words, you're setting them up for the next strike. Now, when you're walking down the street, and if you see an individual coming towards you, you want to keep a wingspan away. You want to keep a wingspan away from that person. That means if you put your arms out side by side, out straight out like a T, and that would score a circle around you, which would be your wingspan. You let anybody get any closer than that, and, you're not thinking right. I don't care where it is. So once you get into that wingspan on somebody, and I'll talk about more in a minute, but let's talk about the feet now. Let's talk about, you don't walk around the street, folks. You don't do anything with your knees locked, standing up like a giraffe or something. That is not how you go around the streets, or you walk, and you practice walking like this all the time in a cat-like stance. And that strengthens your legs. Okay? And you always would, wherever you are, whether you're waiting in line at the bank or whatever, wherever you are, notice how you're standing. Have you got one knee locked in there and just standing there like a stupid giraffe with all the, center of gravity way up in your head? No, you should have that knee bent, just strengthening it. Okay? You should have both your knees bent, slightly bent, okay? That allows the chi to flow through your body, all kinds of things. Lowers your center of gravity. Puts you in a more ready mode in case anything happens, almost like a cat, a mountain lion, whatever, a panther. Now, that's just some little tips there. Look how much I covered already. You need to listen to this stuff and go over it and go, what'd he say about that? Let's see, let me do that, And when I say you need to listen to this stuff, I'm putting myself in the role of a sensei or a teacher. You don't have to do anything, but that's the manner that I'm speaking in, so bear with me here. Now, the next thing you want to think about is what kind of targets there are on a person that are vulnerable. I know this sounds brutal, but hey, it's the fact of life. It's the martial arts. It's the real deal, okay? It's jujitsu. It's anybody that taught the martial arts or that was a master in the martial arts. Let's get this straight, okay? They were killers. They either were in some Chinese, Japanese conflict or whatever. Usually this stuff came from a long time ago, and there was warring between Japanese and Chinese, and so that's where a lot of, martial arts came from. And later on, the guys that came out of that fight, they formed a martial art, and then as they cooled down a little bit, got cooler heads, well, then they tried to soften the martial art, okay, and make it more so that you really didn't have to kill the person, you just subdued them. And Aikido is something that is in that category. Although, having said that, Aikido came from Jiu-Jitsu, and so what I said before, the guy that came out and formed it was originally forming it as a kill technique or kill techniques. He modified it and kind of tampered it down a little, but Kung Fu Sansu, the stuff I'm teaching you, is pure, it's pure from the monastery. And the reason that this was taught, or the reason this martial arts history, a short martial arts history here, it came from the monasteries, and the monks had to go from monastery to monastery, and they often got robbed by thieves and that type of thing. So they called in these people, these other monks, okay, that knew like how to teach people how to take care of themselves, teach the monks how to take care of themselves so they didn't get robbed, because these robbers are brutal. They'd cut your throat for the money. So they learned fighting arts systems, Shaolin and all that stuff. Okay, that's where it all came from. Just want to throw that in there real quick. Okay, so where was I? Oh, targets, yeah. So when you're walking down the street, if you know the vulnerable areas of a person's body, you already got targets picked out before they even get there. You're looking at them like, oh yeah, there's the throat, and there's the sternum, and there's the, the eye, and there's the groin, and there's the, you got all these targets picked out, ready to go. Let's see, which one's open? How's he walking? That type of thing. Is he walking with like a badass attitude? like he thinks he's king of the streets, he, she, whatever, or are they just a normal person? Well, you got to feel the energy, and you got to look into their eyes. You got to look right into their eyes, and you got to stare at them, and you look right at them, and you go, how's it going, or whatever, to get a response from them to see what kind of person they are, and they go, oh, all right, or how's it going, But if they just look at you like they're some crazed psychotic or something, well, then you're ready for something. You have to be ready for anything. So this is just kind of like a potpourri of things to think about. I'm just kind of giving you a little bit at a time here. So we went over, the iron pipe on the radial nerve outside. We went over your weapons, okay? Think about those, different parts of your body, even your head. But all this head-butting stuff you see in the movies, I would save that as a last resort, because you're going to injure yourself. If you do it right, it can be done, but you got a lot of other options before that, folks. So, this is jujitsu. This came from, and then it branched off and it became all kinds of different things, Aikido and Chin-na, Chinna. Chin-na is a Chinese form of putting people's joints in locks, joint locks they call them, so that you could subdue that person that way. And that's a nice way to subdue somebody if you don't want to hurt them, although you're going to have to hurt them a little, okay? But say, for instance, a joint lock would be if somebody grabs you, you're facing somebody and they grab your left shoulder with their right hand. Their right hand comes up and grabs your left shoulder like they're going to do something. Well, your right hand sweeps up real quick on top of theirs and pins their hand to your shoulder, pins it there hard, even if you got to come up with the other hand and reinforce it, so that you pin their right hand on your left shoulder. Okay, so then what you do is, now that you've pinned his hand on your shoulder, you go into what they call a right horse. You twist right. And the fact that you have his hand pinned there to your shoulder and you twist right, guess what happens? He bends over. He's in pain because you just applied pressure to his wrist that hurts. It twisted his wrist. Okay, and then you can come up with your left hand as you're doing this and grab his elbow, or you can come down with your iron pipe and just break his damn elbow, okay? And then you just fling it out of the way. And after you fling it to the left, leaves him wide open, you just come in and lay a barrage of things. I mean, there's any number of things you could do. So you get my drift here? You have to think in terms of, when you're thinking martial arts, you have to think in terms of hurting that person. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the martial arts, folks. It's not all this BS you see down here at the Golden Tree, whatever. That's a made-up term, but you know what I'm saying. The Golden Tree, or the Golden Essence, or whatever, dojo, or martial arts studio, or, Joe Blows. No, you don't go in there to learn how to fight. You don't go in there to learn how to take care of yourself. I mean, I've gone into dojos before. I won't mention, for a while there, I went into Aikido to learn what they were doing. So I just started taking lessons at an Aikido dojo. I was already a high up, in the pecking order on the knowledge of martial arts. I had a high belt, and I went in there, and they started me out as what they call a white belt, but I had the equivalent of a black belt. In most arts, I had the equivalent of, say, a second, third degree black belt. So I went into the Aikido studio, and it was like, I learned hardcore stuff, the root stuff, the jiu-jitsu stuff that Aikido came from. And so, I'd get guys in the locker room all of a sudden, hey, coming over to me because, when they worked out with me, they know I was no BS, and they felt it. And they were in there to learn how to take care of themselves. Hey, they come over to me inside the dojo, and they'd say, hey, man, can you teach me this or teach me that? And I'd go, well, I'm in somebody else's dojo right now, so that's not too kosher. If you have questions, you should ask the sensei here, or if you want to approach me outside this place, that's a different story. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that there's a lot of studios that don't get down to the nitty gritty, even the good ones. They'll teach you the basics, and they'll run you through the belt system, but you don't, that brings me to the point of belt systems. It's not about belt systems. I have a black belt, I have a green belt, no, it's how much work, how much knowledge, how much you know. Okay. It's not about belts. It's about learning. It's just like anything. The belt system originated, back way a long time ago. They gave you a white belt, and you worked so hard and sweat so much and got so dirty that it eventually turned black, and that made you a black belt. Okay. There was no, I give you, a yellow belt, a blue belt, a green belt. Okay, so it's basically how long you work towards a goal to protect yourself, and how much you put into it. So, getting back to walking down the street and picking out targets and all that stuff. You have to feel energy, when you're out there. You can't just go plodding around the streets like you're in some kind of la-la land, fun zone, Coney Island or whatever. You can't do that. You have to be aware on the street. Anytime you go out anywhere in this world, you better be aware, folks. You better be aware. I mean, driving, I don't care what you're doing. Driving alone is insane. So, but if you're walking down the street in a neighborhood that you don't know, or just even in a neighborhood that you know, never feel like you're safe. Don't feel like, oh, everything's cool around here. There's a security guard around here somewhere. No. That's not the way you think. Okay, that's not the way you think. Not if you want to be out of harm's way. So I'm just giving you some tips here about, you have to feel people's energy. You have to feel people's energy. Let's take, for example, that you're sitting in a coffee shop outdoors, how they have the little tables outside. Could be Starbucks, could be anywhere. And somebody walks by, and all of a sudden you feel some energy, and it just feels different. You turn around, and there's a guy that's by the, dumpster or garbage can or whatever there, and he's fishing around in there and looking for bottles or something to eat or something, That has a certain energy to it. I'm not saying it's a bad energy. It's an energy that's different than the normal person walking down the street, or Mary and Jim over there having their lattes at the table, It's a little bit different energy. And sometimes, you can even, when you get to that level, and that's another thing about the martial arts, and sometimes how you can avoid even getting into a circumstance, which I call the sword of no sword. and I've talked about this before, is like repelling that person with your energy. You don't even have to touch them. Negative proximity factor is what I call it. Negative proximity factor. You can vibe somebody away, okay? You can just sit there and put off this vibe like, get out of my space, get out of here, I don't want you around here. And they'll pick up on it as danger. And they'll leave eventually. Some of them are so drugged up or out there that they wouldn't know the difference. But the ones that are sensitive at all, if you put that, if you know how to do that, if you know how to put that negative proximity factor out there, you can make people leave your presence. Or you can make them walk to the other side of the road, whatever. And you've felt that, you know what I'm talking about. Have you ever felt like you've been sitting in a place and you just wanted to leave? Like somebody was looking at you or whatever? Now, you're not hurting the person really, especially if you consider them a threat. You're actually helping them because you're getting them out of your harm's way. You're getting them out of the way. You're reconstructing the reality, of them coming into contact with you or whatever. And if it doesn't work that you can vibe them away, then you walk away. You finish whatever you're doing and, you realize that energy's there and you just say, I'm out of here. That's real easy. So then you bypass whatever morality or morals you might have about vibing somebody away. Oh, that's not right. Well, okay. What's more right, vibing them away or breaking their arm? So anyway, let's get back to the basic thing here. I'm going to ramble all over the place because it's fun. And you're going to pick up on a lot of stuff by me just rambling, by thoughts coming into my head. I channel. I just speak of things. I see pictures and I say, yeah, this will be a good way to describe to them. Now let's get back to the iron pipe thing from your elbow to your wrist. When you come down on somebody else's forearm like that, like say they're throwing a punch, when you come down on their radial nerve with that iron pipe, guess what happens? It goes into shock. Their arm goes numb. I mean, if they got a gun in their hand, you can slam that thing down so hard, that gun's out of their hand. You step to the side and you do it like a cat, you just kind of move to the side and bam! You come down on his arm. So if somebody comes up to you with a gun or a knife, just kind of twist your body. And another thing too is like once you get in their center, once you get into their center of gravity, which is from the tip of their head through their groin area or straight down through the ground, once you step a foot inside there and you get up close and personal, they're not ready for that. Because they're thinking stupid things like, I'm going to throw my punch, and and throwing a punch and getting that punch way out there puts you off balance. That's not how you work, folks. That's not how you work. You get up close and personal. You get in with it. If you know that confrontation is inevitable, you take their center. It's called taking their center, taking their power, taking their energy. Because all of a sudden, your right foot and knee has slid right in between their legs, underneath their groin, and your shoulder's up against their chest. Well, what can you do at that close range? Okay, you can come back with a backhammer to the groin so hard that it'll just bend them over. And then you bend down a little bit, reach behind their calf, on their right leg with your left hand, and put your right hand on their right hip and just boom, pull that leg out and knock them right on their ass. They're down on the ground. Or you can stick your leg behind their leg and sweep your leg out on the ground real fast. Boom. That's called a sweep. Okay, a sweep. So there's all kinds of things. I mean, once you get into that center, you can sweep them. You can come back with a groin shot. You can come back with an elbow to the face. You can come back with an elbow to the ribs. Because you almost kind of turn your back on them. You get in their center, kind of turn their back so that your backswing, when you come back with, say, like an elbow, it's devastating. And if you're facing them, we can use what we call a hammer. And a hammer is just like what it says, like, okay, so we talked about the iron pipe. Now you know, at the end of that iron pipe is a fist clenched up. Okay, what does that become? That becomes a hammer. You can swing that back and forth. You can swing it forward and like a forward swing into their jaw or a backhand into their jaw. And for that matter, you can come up with a backhand with that iron pipe into their throat. Well, don't do that. Not unless you know the right areas, because then you're going to take somebody out. So that's what I'm saying. It's real easy to take somebody out, okay, in a matter of seconds. SEALs do it all the time. Special forces do it all the time when they're on assignment and have to take it. A neck snap will do it too. I'm not even going to teach you that right now. But they're out of commission. Spec-ops people. Apaches knew this stuff too. They had their own fighting form. Don't you think they could do that if they can do everything else? So basically what I'm saying here is you're putting yourself in a position of safety now because you're starting to learn things. Okay, I'm starting to give you knowledge here. You do Tai Chi too. Do the soft and the hard, you know, because Tai Chi is another form, only it's more of a swirling, circular form. And so is Aikido. So you have the linear form of Kung Fu Sansu, which is considered hard, where you just get in their face quickly. Okay? Hard and brutal. Then there's the forms where you don't get in their face so quickly. You kind of brush them to the side, okay, in a circular motion. You whip them into your vortex of circular energy. As you're circling, they start circling. That's what Aikido is based on. And Tai Chi is also a form where you use a concentration of Chi, inner Chi, not strength, but inner Chi, or inner energy. Just like if you were a massage therapist and you decided all of a sudden you were going to use it in a brutal way on somebody. You're projecting that energy, that Chi, out there through the ends of your palms. So consequently, you have palm fighting or palm strikes. That could be the most devastating. Because then you just like I say, if you get up and close and personal to somebody and they're like trying to hurt you and you deflected their punch with a windmill, an out windmill. See, that's how you deflect punches. You make from your elbow to your wrist, you kind of upswing, downswing to block their punch, okay? And at the same time you're upswinging or downswinging, you're hitting them with that radial with your iron pipe. Or you're sliding down their arm and grabbing their wrist to put them in a leverage. Okay, I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do here. All kinds of things. And what you have to do is you have to combine. Now, see, what I did over the years is take everything that I ever learned, and I studied several martial arts just so I could learn how they use those martial arts. Like I went in and I did some little bit of karate when I was younger, and then I did Tai Chi I've been doing that for over 30 years, and then I did about 5 to 6 years of Kung Fu Sansu scars, which is enough to kill you right there. And but I say training, I practice it daily, so it's more than 5 or 6 years. It's many, many years. It's decades. I'm not going to say how many decades because I don't want to reveal my true age. No, I'm 66, so I spent at least 2/3 of my life in the martial arts, okay? And having said that I'm 66, let me put a caveat on that, most people say I don't look that age. They say I look around 45. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Guess it matters to other people, you know. But anyway, if you do this stuff, you're going to keep yourself in shape. That's the thing. Whether you're a man or woman, there's nothing I like better than to see a woman. I'm going to go a little outside the envelope here. There's nothing that turns me on more than a woman that knows how to do this kind of stuff. Because then I know she's somebody that knows her, you know what I want to say here. And she can take care of herself, and I can spar with her, you know. I can use her as a sparring partner. Anybody that I've ever been with, a woman that I've ever been with, I've taught this stuff to. Of course, they use it against me, but oh well. It's fun while you're teaching them. They get good. Women, some women are the best warriors, the best martial artists, the best. I mean, let me tell you, you wouldn't want to mess with them on the street. The normal guy, I don't care who you are. They know stuff, and they move like cats. I was talking about moving like a cat before. Well, they have that yin energy. They can just really lay it on you. They can make swift moves you never thought of. Okay, so sometimes working out with a woman will help you because you pick up on their yin energy, and it helps them because they pick up on your yang energy and they get harder. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent here, but anyway. Women have to know how to take care of themselves because, they're in a sense are the most vulnerable. I mean, if there's ever rioting in the streets and all that stuff and supermarket shelves are bare and, no police around, guess what, ladies? If you look good, there's going to be predators out there that are, because you know what? There are. It's a fact of life. Get ready. Get with a man that knows knows what he's doing, or learn yourself. That's my advice. Learn yourself or get with somebody that can help, make sure that they're there for you. Because women are especially vulnerable. And this even happened, I hate to tell you this, but when they had Katrina down in New Orleans, the cops were brutal. They were gangsters. The New Orleans cops. And some of the National Guard people, and then you had Blackwater in there, friggin' mercenaries, right? Guess who had control of the land there? Those guys. And once they got that power and they were going from house to house, they were doing all kinds of things that people don't know about. They were raping women, everything. Because they knew they were defenseless at that time and they knew they couldn't prove anything. This is fact, okay? So that's just a little insight as to what can happen and why you have to be able to take care of yourself. You have to be able to take care of yourself. I sit there and I watch, if you're sitting there and you're watching the normal person walk down the street and you know what you know, you can put yourself in the position like, say what a predator would be thinking. Because you have to think like a predator to overcome the predator. You have to know how they think. And they sit there and they pick out people that they can strike fear into their hearts. They can walk up on, they can look at them a certain way or say something to them and give them a dirty look or whatever and just strike fear in that person's heart. Or see if it'll strike fear. They're testing you. They're seeing if they can strike fear into your heart. And if you look them straight in the eye and you know, you heard that saying, you can smell fear. It's true, almost. I mean, it's not about smelling, it's about feeling it. And if they feel that you avert your eyes, or that you can't take care of yourself, or you're a scared rabbit that's going to run to a rabbit, they'll get on you. If you're in a dark place or a place, I don't want to scare you, but go to New York sometimes, go to Chicago, walk in Harlem, walk, anywhere, walk in any ghetto area. I don't care whether it's black, white, Russian. You don't want to do it. You want to get out of your car. So that's what's out there, and that's why you have to learn this stuff. And that's why, some people go, oh my God, that's brutal. Oh, love and light. Hallelujah. People got to wake up, man. This is just like, it's the same thing as earthquake preparedness. I mean, it could happen. If you live in California, you've been through a couple of earthquakes, they can happen. So what are you going to do? Follow the instructions. What to do in an earthquake. Not that it'll help you. But this is the same concept. If you're out on, predators are out there. They're going to eventually, it could come to the point where there's lawlessness. What are you going to do? Not think about that? Just la 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 la. Everything's a gorgeous day out today. Till the crap hits the fan. And that could come any time from any incident. Could start up in a flash. Got to be ready. So I'm going to keep teaching some things here so that you'll know. I think people will like this. Get the word around. Get the word around. And then, if you want private instruction, I'm here. I charge a lot, though. Trust me. For that kind of thing. Well, email me if you're interested. But I don't take on any students any more than like one or two at a time. One or two students. And I charge, I don't know what I charge. I'll come up with something when you call me. If you want to know this stuff. Or at least I can point you in a direction to somewhere near you that you can learn this stuff. Or some kind of, all this stuff you see on TV, these fights, that's a bunch of bull. They throw them in the arena there and blood all over the place. And, come on. Come on. You can take somebody out in 3 or 4 seconds if you know what you're doing. And there's a story about Jimmy Woo, the creator of some Kung Fu Sansu. Jimmy Woo came over here. And he was from China. And over in China, when the gangs over there, if you issued a challenge, they showed up at a certain place, a certain time, and you fought to the death. That was it. You fought to the death. Well, when he came over here, he didn't know the difference. And they had, we're going to have a contest here. And he got in there and damn near killed the guy. They had to stop him because, no, this is not how you do it over here. Well, in China, we fight to the death. Well, no, this is, see, so just some history there. Issuing challenges, that type of thing. It was a common occurrence with the samurai and the other warriors. Well, I'm getting close to the end here of the show. So, the usual links are over there, spiritofcrazyhorse.com. Don't leave yet. See, everybody's leaving. Oh, he's getting to the commercial. No, stay there. Listen, I might say something else you might want to hear. Okay. Don't walk away. I see you walking away. Come back here. Okay, spiritofcrazyhorse.com has a donation button. If you think any of this stuff that I'm telling you is worth anything, I mean, let's put it this way. It could save your life, the stuff I'm putting out here. So donate. What would you give a sensei? What would you give a psychologist? What would you give? I mean, think about it, people. I'm telling you, people are tight out there. I mean, what would you give a psychologist? What would you give a martial arts instructor? What would you give think about it. Am I worth anything to you? Really, seriously. Kick me some down. Hit that button. 5, 10, 15 bucks. Come on. What else are you going to spend it on? Something you really, excites your mind for about 10 seconds, and then you get tired of it and stick it in the closet, okay? This is stuff that can change your life, okay, people? Okay, so there's the good cop, bad cop. That was the bad cop. Now I'm going to people, I really need your help here. If you want to help me, donate. Okay, now sign up for the newsletter. And when you get these things through the mail, people, if you sign up, look in your spam folder, please. I mean, I send out 90 emails and 20 or 30 are open. What are you signing up for? If you sign up, check for it. Because it's a waste of time for me. And then a lot goes into these shows. You wouldn't believe how, I have to edit, I have to record, edit, post, upload, make a graphic, send a graphic out with time and date and all that type of thing. So all kinds of things are involved with me getting this show out. Okay? People don't realize that. It's an all-day thing. It's a job. Okay? Writing's a job. Everything I do is a job. Only I don't work for the man. I work for myself. And I work on the assumption that some people out there are going to appreciate what I do and support this. I mean, this is a little lecture here, I know. But I know that thousands of people have been listening to this, and I know what I'm getting in donations. It's like everybody wants a freebie, okay? No. Help your local shaman, wisdom keeper, martial artist, pilot, whatever. Please. Think about it, man. It has to do with the heart, okay? If you're not giving, there's something wrong with your heart. I give to people every day. Man, I'll have my new book out. I could sell it for 20 bucks. I'll have it carrying with me. If I see somebody on the bus I like that would appreciate it, boom, I give it to them. 20 bucks gone like that. 20 bucks. Think about it. Get off the sofa. Start practicing this stuff. Start getting into a different mindset that says, hey, this guy ain't so bad. He's teaching me how to survive. Okay, so I'm going to go here pretty soon. What do they say in, oh man, I remember when I was in Aikido, man, we had all these terms. I've been more into native language lately but I used to know a lot of Chinese and Japanese, Konnichiwa, and all that stuff, and the Namaste. I know some of that stuff still. And my heart's with you. My heart's with you, people. I'm coming from the heart here. Don't judge me. If you're judging me, you're judging yourself. Something about yourself. So I'm going to leave. I'm out of here. So adios. Yippee-ki-yo-ki-yay.